All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, Fat Phil, and we're going to be talking about modding advice for new players and early game accounts, specifically targeted at those of you who are free to play. During my roster reviews, I noticed a couple of things that I think players are kind of skipping ahead. So I'm going to give you a refresher on the 5 mod phases. I'm going to link it down below. It's a video I did back in December of 2022. I think it's fantastic, and it lays out kind of how I go about modding characters. And you can take that and kind of use it for your own account, and I think it's really good. I think it's a good process to follow. So again, obviously I think it's good because I made it. Yeah. So we're going to do that, but first I want to give a huge shout out to the channel members. So if you guys can give me 1 second here to pull that up. There we go. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. I really appreciate every single one of you. If you're interested in joining channel memberships, there's a link down below. Otherwise, just ask you to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Let's hit on down here. All right. So, we have modding. And modding is something that I think a lot of players are just kind of it's a very confusing topic, right? But I want to recover the 5 modding phases. And this is what I follow like to the T. So the first thing is the mod sets. Just worry about getting the right mod set on the character. Early on, you're not going to be able to be picky and choosy on did you get the perfect primaries or speed or secondaries. You just need to focus on, hey, do I have offense sets? Do I have speed sets, health sets, whatever, right? You want to focus on the mod set first. All right, that's step 1. Step 2, start focusing on some primary stats, right? Do you have the right primary stats for that character? That does become very important, that you've got those things built, that okay, I've got the right primary stats. The next thing is speed then. Notice that phase 3 is speed. I think early on, you can't afford to just not have mods because they don't have speed on them. Now, I'm not saying to level 15 every single mod that doesn't have speed. Build like a set for your characters that you really need, and then start getting picky about speed. Right? Speed becomes very, very important. But, the other way to think about this is as you progress in the game, if you're going for a character like Old Daka here, where she just needs health, speed is not the most important thing. Like this mod, right? I was like, you know what? Speed's not the most important thing. Speed isn't the most important. The primaries are, the secondaries are. So just think of that as you're going through this, right? That your primary focus should still be to have the best stats and then worry about your speed. Once you get the speed down, right? Once you've, okay, hey, I've got the speed right, maybe I'm going to start looking for some of those what I call double, triple secs. Now, what's a triple sec, right? No, so double sec and triple sec means that there's 2 or 3 stats on that mod that are really good. Example here being this General Skywalker mod, having protection and speed. This is a double sec mod, right? That this has 2 really good secondaries. You can think of it as speed plus 1, right? That it's a speed plus another really good statistic. Down here, we've got offense, flat protection, defense. This is a pretty decent mod. I'd say it's, decent, right? It's not the best. Up in here, though, you've got offense, potency, and speed. This is a speed plus 2, right? Those are 2 really good secondaries for General Skywalker. So that's kind of the next phase that, okay, I got my General Skywalker with the primary stats, the speed I wanted. Now I'm going to start trying to find those secondaries. And then finally, what you get down to is your fine-tuning. This is where you find those mods that are literally like perfect for that character. This one for Commander Luke is a great example. This one down here, another great example. And even this one here, like these 3 mods right here. Perfect examples for Commander Luke on just having stats that he wants all over the place. So that's fine tuning. That is the last phase. That's the last thing you worry about, is being perfect on your modding. So that's the 5 modding steps. So what I want to get into is what I see a lot of players doing, which is skipping down here to fine-tuning. And to illustrate this issue, I was thinking of this meme from one of like my all-time favorite movies. My name is Borat. If you don't know this meme, right, I had to take the words off because they're, you have to paraphrase this. So Borat is talking about his neighbor, and he's like, this is my neighbor. He is painting my buttholes. I gets a window from a glass. He gets a window from a glass. I gets a step. He gets a step. I gets a clock radio. He cannot afford. Great success. So to translate this to like your modding, if I'm Borat in this situation, I'm looking at these rosters and I'm like, this is my subscriber. They are pain in my buttholes. I gets a 350 speed Mara Jade. They gets a 350 speed Mara Jade. I gets a 340 speed Piet. They gets a 340 speed Piet. I gets a 340 speed Bosk. They cannot afford. Great success. Now, obviously, I don't think like that. Like, I don't want you to think that I want better mods than you because I want to brag about it. That's not it at all. I just thought of this meme so much that, like, I watch you guys and I'm like, okay, you've got this, and then you can't afford, like, the next thing. And, you know, you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, except that the Joneses are, you know, have so much more available to them. So what I want to show, right, is a couple of characters that I see this all the time. Like the please don't. And I just picked 3 characters that I think players are doing this too because, you know, I'm sure I have a part to play in that. But like that they have these crazy gold mods on all of their characters. And I'm just going to show you when you're slicing mods, the method that I followed to where I am now. Like I did not start this way. And it is not smart to just get a mod and start taking it to gold immediately. A gold mod takes a lot of resources, and I'm going to show you that through this little thing. So you're going to start with mods that look like this on Enfys Nest, right? You're really going to start with a mod like this over here, right? So you've got to spend these resources to get it from tier A to tier E, right, in 6 dot. So you start here. Now, the first slice is just this material, which is fine, right? That's very inexpensive. This is almost like as free as it gets, right? So you get an extra thing here. It'll boost your secondary speed. Or it'll boost your secondary speed, hopefully. It'll boost a secondary stat, and you'll be well on your way. You want to start here. Just start here. Start with like, okay, I got these. Now I'm going to pick one that I'm going to try and slice up. So now you sliced it, and then the next level, right, to go from this green, right, which was started here, you put on one of these, and now you move to this green mod now, right? Takes a little bit more resources now. You need some of these, and some of this, right? So now you need all of this stuff to go to tier C. So we started with Enfys Nest. Now you're going to move down to a character like someone like Old Daka, where you've gone ahead and you're like, yeah, you know what? I've taken these to E. I didn't get the stat that I wanted, or maybe I did, but I want to work on some other ones. So you kind of stop, right? So now you look something like this. Ignore this purple mod. You can pretend it doesn't exist. I don't have a lot of characters with like all green mods right now. So you kind of move to something like this where you still have primarily green mods, moving on to the next thing, which would be someone like Chewbacca, like 3PO and Chewie here, where, okay, I've got some blue now. You know, that I really like the mods. You know, I really like the secondaries here, I'm going to try and slice them up a little bit more. So now you spent these resources, you have this mod at blue. To go to purple, it takes, again, more resources. And so now, if you've continued to go all the way up to here, you've spent a lot of resources that you might not have. Right? You really have. You spent a lot of resources that you probably don't have. Or, I shouldn't say that you don't have, but that you can't afford in the long run, right? This is not long, there's no long-term viability here. So, then you get to, like, this purple mod. And this is where a lot of players, I think this is the big mistake. Taking mods beyond purple is... You're like, oh, but Phil, I don't need this piece anymore, right? I don't need the Mark II circuit breakers, right? No, you don't. You need this piece, and you need 30 of these, which these are 2 of the 3 pieces you need to go from a 5 dot mod to a 6 dot mod. And remember that going from 5 dot to 6 dot increases not only all of your secondary stats, but the primary. Whereas doing this only increases a single secondary stat. So I think what a lot of players get caught in this trap of like, oh, I want to have the coolest mods because I want to send, like, it's cool to send a really fast mod, right? We all love that. I have whole channels dedicated to show me your best mods, right? Mod success glory, like that's what it's for. But don't get caught up in trying to do that. You know, like I use that as like, man, this mod, I just pulled this out of nowhere. Not, I got this mod all the way to gold, you know, right away, and I'm out of resources. Like, you don't want to get to here, right? That's not, you want to kind of stop at things like this, go work on those other mods, and then eventually you'll end up here. Then eventually you end up with mods like this. And they look great, and you can brag about them, and they're awesome. But this takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes finding those right mods. Don't just shoehorn mods to gold because they're like for the sake of speed. I think a lot of you are doing that. Like any mod that I have at gold, you'll notice it is insane. Like look at like, health, there's health percent, but look, this is 5 rolls on offense and 5 rolls on speed. We've got speed, health, and offense on this crit damage mod. Health, protection, speed. Like these are mods that are deserving of that gold status. Even this mod up here, right? Health percent, defense, speed. These are mods that were worthy of being gold. I didn't just take some random mod to gold because I have it at, because it's fast. That's not what you do. You use those on mods that really make sense that if you roll something other than speed, you're going to be okay. So, I'm not trying to be like condescending or preachy, even though it probably comes off that way. What I'm just trying to say is I don't want you guys trying to rush to this point. You don't want to rush here. Take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You want to take your time, because if you're spending those resources getting gold mods, that's less 6-dot mods that you get. And 6-dot mods make a much greater impact. Another thing to note there, I'm always of the mindset that like 2 10-speed mods are better than a 15-speed mod. 2 15s are better than a 20, and 2 20s are better than a single 25. The last thing that, so I want to say that, and the last thing I'm going to leave you with here. When you're modding, and I talked about it, when I look at your roster reviews, right? When I review rosters, I go and look at what your fastest non-galactic legend character is. And then I'll go look at your second. And then I go look at like your third, right? And I'll just see, and then I'm like, okay, not a crazy drop off in speed there. So now what I'll do is I'll be like, all right, maybe I'm going to go down to like here. Are we still relatively fast? Are you still within that range that like, a lot of times what I see is players will go from a character like, let's go to like Darth Revan here at 348, right? They go from like a super fast character, like 348. And then the next one I find is like, 290. I mean, that's even faster than some of the ones I see. It's more like 286, right? Like there's this huge drop off from speed from one character to the next. Especially on like a PX. A lot of you guys are getting into relics with Executor. How often is your Piet really necessary at the speed you have in that? Like I can tell you mine at 337, I very rarely actually needed that much speed in battles. Very, very rarely do I need that much speed in the battles that I'm doing. It just doesn't happen, right? Even now at my level, we're getting a little bit different, but like at your level, there's no way that you need that much speed on Piet. There's no way, right? It would blow my mind if 1 million accounts need that much speed on a character. You just doesn't happen that way. But if you have a bunch of characters who are right around that like 300, 290 early on, a lot more players will struggle with your defense. Because if you invest all your best mods onto a single character, it's only one team, right? And if you use them on offense, that's one win that you got with those mods. But if you put a really well-modded team on defense, bring a well-modded team on offense, you can surprise a lot more players. So I want to leave you with that. I hope I didn't get too preachy. I hope I didn't get too much like, but just think of the Borat meme, right? That like don't be the guy that you're just like he cannot afford great success. I let this sear this into your brain when you're going for mods. That be smart. Don't just try and get something because Phil has it, or Arnold, or Zareth, or AP Gaines, or Nooch, or Sanjita, or Calvin, or whoever you watch, Heinze, Rambam, Darth Lakota, Playbook, whoever it is, right? Don't just try to match what they have, because they're gonna end up being like Borat, like, they've got a good mod. Oh, they don't have idea, great success. Yeah, I just love Borat so much, so I have to do that, but. You guys let me know. Hopefully this helps you and, as preachy as it is, drills a little bit into your brain. I cannot say how much I appreciate all of your love and support. That's the end of this video. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.